A young black waitress named Luana worked tirelessly at a downtown restaurant. She always kept a bright, cheerful attitude, putting in her best effort to deliver excellent customer service, despite the daily challenges. That day, while serving her tables, she noticed something outside the window. On the sidewalk, a man stood in tattered clothes, his eyes hungry and desperate. The way he stared at others eating touched Luana deeply, as if his eyes could actually taste the food. Her heart tightened at the sight. She couldn't just ignore it. She turned to Mr. Brager, the cook, and asked, "I'm sorry, but would it be possible to have a plate of leftovers? I'll pay for it myself." Without a second thought, the boss responded with a stern tone, "Luana, there's no leftover food here. This is a restaurant, not a charity." Though disheartened, Luana didn't let it stop her. The image of the man still lingered in her mind. She made a decision on her own. Carefully, she prepared a plate with steaming coffee, bread, scrambled eggs, and a simple supper. She slipped out the side door, waiting for the perfect moment when no one was looking. "Here you go, sir," she said, handing him the plate. The man looked at her, stunned, almost as if he couldn't believe someone cared. With trembling hands, he took the plate and whispered, I don't know how to thank you. God bless you." Luana smiled, content with her choice. She returned to work, feeling at peace with herself. But what she didn't realize was how profoundly that simple act of kindness would shift the course of events. The tension in the room was palpable, with both customers and staff watching the scene unfold. "What do you think you're doing, Luana?" Mr. Brager demanded, his voice sharp. Luana tried her best to stay calm. "I was just helping, sir." The man was starving. With a furious slam, Brager hit the nearby table, his voice rising. "We don't have that problem here. You've damaged the restaurant's reputation and broken the rules." Her face burning with embarrassment, Luana tried to reason with him. "Sir, I would have paid for the meal. All I wanted was to help someone in need." "Enough!" Brager bellowed. "You're fired. Now pack your things and leave." As Luana gathered her apron, the room filled with looks of shock and sympathy. Her eyes welled up with tears as she softly replied, "It's okay. But if I had to do it again, I would." Without another word, she left, carrying her purse and walking out the door without looking back. From across the street, the man she had helped watched the scene unfold, guilt weighing heavily on him. "I made her lose everything because of me." Luana wandered through the crowded streets, tears flowing freely as each step felt heavier than the last. She sat on a park bench, staring off into the distance, consumed by the humiliation she'd just endured. She thought about the expenses she now faced and how to break the news of her job loss to her sick mother. "What am I supposed to do now?" she muttered softly. She couldn't just leave things as they were. Even though she had little left, Luana knew she had to act. Lost in thought, she suddenly heard a voice. "Excuse me, are you the waitress from the restaurant on the corner?" Looking up, she saw a well-dressed man in a sharp suit. "Suspicious," Luana replied. "Yes. But why do you ask?" The man smiled gently. "Renato Albuquerque. I was eating lunch across the street and witnessed what happened." Her heart raced as she asked, "You saw everything?" "Yes," he replied. "I saw how you were treated and how you helped that man. I couldn't just ignore it." Luana lowered her gaze, feeling the weight of it all. "I just wanted to help. I never imagined it would cost me my job." Renato studied her for a moment before speaking again. "Your actions were admirable. Not many would have the courage to do what you did. The world needs more people like you." He handed her a card. "I own a chain of restaurants, and I'd like to offer you a job." Stunned, Luana's hands trembled as she took the card. "A job? Really?" "Yes," Renato confirmed. "Your kind of spirit is exactly what I'm looking for." Tears filled Luana's eyes as she smiled. I don't know how to thank you." "You don't need to," Renato said kindly. "Just stay true to yourself." The next morning, Luana was up early, nervous but hopeful. She called Renato's office and made her way to meet him. When she arrived, she was greeted with open arms. Renato had big plans for her. She would become the next supervisor at one of his restaurants. The crew welcomed her warmly, and for the first time, Luana felt truly valued. With her new position, she was finally able to properly care for her mother and manage their expenses. Things were starting to fall into place. A few days later, while working, a familiar face walked into the restaurant. The homeless man from before, now clean, dressed in fresh clothes and smiling shyly. "Miss Luana," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. Startled, Luana turned to him. "You? How are you?" He grinned. "I'm getting back on my feet and have a job now, thanks to you. You gave me hope when I thought I had none." Luana's heart swelled as she replied, "You were always valuable. You just needed to believe in yourself."